Oh, hello. It's me, your friendly neighborhood BabstheBat. In true Saturday morning, never-ending panel fashion. Since Jamie is not here, and Jordan and I have taken over, I felt like a dramatic entrance was still warranted.
Mm-hmm.
And since we're talking about, content creation and producing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you gotta keep things interesting. That's tip number one.
Okay.
Plus, I just really also wanted a reason to wear my new cowl because I haven't gotten to wear it since I ordered it. So,
There's the deep,
anyways,
dark truth coming out now.
anyways, but shh, I'm about to reveal my secret identity, so don't tell anyone.
Okay.
But I have to take off my cowl and put my glasses on because I can't see.
Struggle.
So, welcome in, everyone. How are you? I've introduced myself. Jordan,
Hi.
tell everyone who you are.
Hi, everybody. I am DNDJordanLea on the internet, and I get the absolute pleasure of working with this chaotic being, and I love her so much, and I just want that to be known. So, yes.
So, for those of you who are unaware of this channel we're on or what they're about or what they do, other than these Saturday shenanigans, which are always fantastic. I highly recommend you go to their YouTube and check out the VODs because we talk about some good stuff. But Neverending is a TTRPG creator platform that you can use to enhance your games, from character building, like creating art for your characters, to then taking that art and making tokens for your virtual tabletop programs like Foundry and Roll20 and stuff like that. Then it helps level up your storytelling experiences with Be Neverending. And they already have stuff in the works to take that even further. If you go back and watch the VODs, they're creating a whole book of NPCs for DMs to just use. And they've got some amazing writers, voice actors creating these characters for you guys so that you just have an unlimited number of NPCs that you can be like, oh, you need a baker? Let me go pull this guy. There's a little voiceover blurb and like a whole little spiel about that character. And you know what? It's always the unexpected NPCs that become everyone's favorites.
That 100%.
So, but soon you'll also be able to use it to build web comics of your D&D sessions, which I know for my household, that's going to become a thing. But make sure you guys, follow here, follow them on all of their platforms at Be Neverending. Check out their website, which is beneverending.com. But their app, the character builder, which is live right now, you can go to beneverending.app.
Ooh.
And we will put that in the chat. so that it's even easier for you to get there. But anywho, Jordan, how are you?
I'm good. I'm having a chill Saturday. So
yeah, me too.
It's always good. I'm very excited for our topic too.
I am too. This is, I feel like this is a sneak peek of just what we do in a nutshell.
Yes.
Which I'm really excited to talk about because I love what we do.
Yes. And I think
we have often the coolest job ever.
Yeah, and I think it's often misunderstood, like what goes into production, and folks overly simplify it or they overly complicate it.
Right.
Because there are so many different things that you can use. So again, I think this is going to be a really great topic, and I'm excited to chat about it with you.
Yeah, and you and I, we've literally built our stuff from the ground up. I know for me, it was part of my COVID project, I just threw myself in. I started with like a laptop and my Switch and just kind of started figuring it out, asking questions to people when I needed to ask questions. But, we have put our heart and soul into making sure that what we do is not only easy for us, so that with everything we do, it's one less thing to worry about. I know my setup, you've been over here. My setup is, I have it down to a science to where I have to do minimal. Once it's going, I don't need to touch it.
Yep.
But yeah, it seems intimidating when you first get into it, especially with the things as you get going, the things you realize you want or need to take those next steps. But we're here to tell you some of our secrets.
Sure.
If you guys, this is going to be a little bit of a shameless plug, and we did get permission from Jamie to do this, but Chaotic Tiefling, who helps produce all these streams for Never Ending, which is our company, we actually do consultations and stuff for streamers of all sizes. Whether you're a company like Never Ending who is interested in getting started in this, or you're an individual streamer who is just getting started and you want help figuring out what your settings need to be and what software to use and just kind of how to navigate everything. We're here to help you out. So yeah, if anyone is interested, feel free to reach out to us.
For sure.
Yeah. So, Jordan.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your streaming creator, content creator journey.
Sure. So I primarily jumped into production for TTRPGs. I was actually part of a community that we did charity streams a couple times a year, and we would do this big TTRPG weekend. And I remember coming into the community in my first part, because you don't think about this as being part of production, but it is. The showrunners were having some difficulty with trying to figure out how to do some giveaways. So brand new to the community, I offered up, I was like, hey, I'm happy to track it. And then you handle it from there, but like, I'm happy to track it for you.
Yeah.
And since that point, like I slowly started to get more into, actually having like a meeting with everybody, and they're showing me how to stream, how to use OBS Studio, how to use Web Captioner, how to use Google Meets, because there's so many different apps that you can use. As well as and I think this gets missed a lot, the production amount of work and prep that goes into streaming yourself playing video games or streaming yourself and others playing video games compared to what goes into it for a TTRPG or even a charity event. Because they are different.
Yes, they are. But one is not necessarily easier or harder.
Correct. 100%.
So they're just different.
And I think, too, the definition of what is harder is going to be kind of different, because for me, anything that's numbers related is no. But anything that's design or otherwise, I'm happy to do it. But that really is what kind of got me into it. And then I've been, I know, poking at your side of, hey, show me how to do things. So,
and there's even things that like I've approached you about of like, hey, you've been using this. This isn't something I've been using, but I just can't figure out like this one little thing.
Sure.
Because
I feel like, if I can interject, I feel like streaming kind of in general, there's not, this is not something you necessarily go to college for in terms of like what you can study, because this is such a new form
Mm-hmm.
Really, that has only taken off in the last couple of years. And
Yep.
where people are now like, oh, I can do that and I don't need to have like $1 million setup. You can do it
No.
with a laptop. You can do it as long as you have a
Yep.
good cam and a good mic. You can do it and build it from there.
Yes.
I wish I could do a side by side of my first streamer setup to now, because
Yeah.
I've been able to invest into it a little bit more. But like, you don't have to have those high tech items in order to put together a really fantastic stream.
Right. But it's also important to point out that know the limitations of your
Yes.
equipment. Because especially if you have an older computer, unfortunately, streaming does require you to run a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the older computers can't handle it.
No.
And you know, the laptop I started out on was a gaming laptop. So it was already a little bit more high performance.
Sure.
But even then it had its limitations.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you don't one thing that I'm actually like a fairly big advocate for is when you're looking for like a second monitor or something like that, which if you're streaming off a laptop, I highly recommend you also have a second monitor type thing to help give you a little bit more space, especially when you're gaming. Having a TV as a second monitor I actually like it more than my actual monitors. I have a regular monitor, I have a vertical monitor, but my middle one is y'all don't have to be as extra as me, a 45-inch flat screen TV, which is one that was given to us. So we were very lucky. But, you know, when the kids are going back to school and stuff, you don't have to have one of the really big ones. And personally, for me, I like it a lot better because it gives you an extra set of speakers that you don't have to plug in to your stuff. And so, especially when I'm running TTRPGs, I can run music out of my TV and capture that, and then run like my Zoom out of the other set of speakers. And then you have individual control over them, which I know for a lot of people that's a thing. And it gives you the ability to also share your music over Zoom with your players so that they can hear what's going on. But you know, it's for me, it's the little things like that that just really push it to the next level. I do highly recommend that if you can add music to your TTRPG streams, even if it's just for the audience to hear, and keep it at like a low background level. It really does make a difference.
Not me opening Pretzel right now, so we can have some lo-fi music. Because I was just thinking about, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, we're having a chill stream. We might as well have some lo-fi music on. So,
yeah,
not me opening
which,
it
you know, Twitch has a lot of extensions built in that are wonderful. One that I've recently discovered and actually have been using quite a lot, especially for chill stuff like this, is they do have a Soundstripe extension. And you don't have to pay for an account. They do have the free version. If you want more options, the paid version is like $3.99 a month. But it gives you royalty-free music, which is the big thing. It's got to be royalty-free music. But Pretzel Rocks is also an amazing music app extension. I used that one. I haven't used that since I switched back to regular OBS. But
I love it. There's also, I mean, you would have to be more careful, but you can also look on Spotify. They do have some DMCA playlists that you can use. I know a good friend of ours, CB, does that a lot, where he will actually build together, and that is going to be requiring you to check up on that music, because obviously you don't want to get a DMCA strike. But that is another option if you can't find something within Pretzel Rocks or one of Twitch's extensions that you can use with music, because similar to you, Babs, I have to have some. That's why I was like, I always have music on. Why am I not playing it right now? So trying to get it all set up. But no, I mean, that can level up your streaming immensely by doing that. So
yeah. So what are some questions that people always ask you when it comes to producing?
A lot of it has been recently the web captioner stuff.
Yes.
Just
the caption stuff has been a really big one lately.
Well, and especially too, I think a lot of people forget that web capture was basically an unfinished project, and then the Panini hit. Yes. And it's still being worked on, but it's not completely there. It's really great to see. I know we were experimenting, as streamers do, with figuring out about Zoom's captions and how they capture, or Google Meets. The biggest tip that I can give you is with streaming and all of that, like, don't be afraid to experiment. Because the worst case scenario is you can just scrap it and go back to what you originally had. Or who knows, it might lead to something different. But you have to kind of look at your production, what you're producing too. That's important. But what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish, and basically setting yourself up for success. You can, and how you can do that with doing a minimal amount of work and stress, because we all know it with streaming. Tech goblins and gerblins are totally a thing. You got to figure out a backup plan. And if you are just stagnant with how you are going to be in this space, you're not necessarily going to thrive or grow from that. I think we both can agree that the streamers that we were when we first started to where we are now are completely different. But still at the heart of that, still the same core of who we are, but it's just we've become more confident. We're also now more willing to look kind of absurd on the internet when it comes to things, you know. So that's mainly the questions that I get for the most part.
To build off of that, I totally had a point, but my husband ran down in a Robin costume and threw open the door because I sent him a picture of me and my cow. Anyways, so tech goblins, they happen. It's 100% going to be a thing, even with my setup, which like I said, I feel like I have it down to a science. It's 99.99% reliable, and I have done my best to eliminate any and all possible reasons for tech goblins happen. Whether it's a bug with software or something else, my biggest piece of advice to help with that is learn your software, learn your setup, go through, really find where each set of settings is. That way, when something comes up, you know where to go to start flipping through things. Like if you go live and sound isn't working, you know exactly where your sound settings are. You can start flipping through and you can get it fixed as quickly as possible without feeling like you're fumbling.
Sure.
And that is one thing that I feel like me personally, I am really good at, is when something pops up,
mm-hmm.
I am fairly aware of what it is, where the source is, and how to fix it quickly. Where most of the time, not a lot of people realize it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that, especially if you're producing for other people, that can be a huge boon in your favor of, if a problem arises, you are cool under pressure and things get fixed quickly.
Yes.
Yep. And, you know, it's so crazy how these things that we've started doing, or things we do as hobbies, or start out to do as hobbies, start becoming essentially professions,
mm-hmm.
at least freelance. Because, like, you never would have thought that being a Twitch tech producer would be something that you can get paid for and have a job with, but it's 100% a thing. We go around to conventions and run live streams for companies and help them stream their panels, help them stream their TTRPG games,
help stream charity events. That's
exactly
been popping up a lot.
Yep. I helped run a 4-day charity stream on Paizo's channel,
mm-hmm.
For Jasper's game day over New Year's Eve, and that was an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really fun. And I got to watch a lot of Pathfinder, which was something I was not familiar with. But
for sure.
But it also, when it comes to it, when you're producing your own content, it's okay to do stuff that other people are doing, especially when you're streaming TTRPGs or you're streaming video games.
Mm-hmm.
But where it's going to come down to make you feel like you're not just in with everyone else, is your sound, your video,
mm-hmm.
and honestly your overall presentation.
Sure.
Overlays, I feel like there's a very fine line with overlays, which there are amazing graphic designers, mm-hmm. that you can hire to forgive my dog.
Jesse has a lot of opinions about this matter and would like to sound off. But I think what Babs was trying to say is there are a ton of fantastic graphic designers out there that you can always commission. But there's also a number of apps and stuff that you can use too, like Stream Elements, which I think pretty much everybody that we know uses it for our Twitch alerts, for anything we want to do. They actually have in there, you can build your own overlays. Yes. You can, if you wanted to, I do this for Halloween and for Christmas because they actually have some really great holiday assets. You can build it out so you have like jack-o'-lanterns and a black cat moving around and a witch flying across the moon. And it's subtle, it's cute, and you can do things like an animated one where things are moving around, or more of a static one, which is kind of like the one that Babs and I are in currently. And, you know, you can just kind of have fun with it, but you don't have to drop money to kind of make that stuff happen. You can also use things like Canva or Photopea, or if you want to, you can also use Adobe Photoshop to make these overlays work. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was filling in.
No, you're good. But I, a nice clean overlay that doesn't have too much on it.
Yes.
To where it's not overcrowded, and then you have alerts popping in on top of that. Mm-hmm. And also on the flip side, like, don't leave like a huge amount of just like blank space.
Yes.
Like, it's always good to get the information across that you can. Like, here on the Neverending overlay, down below we have the little blurb about what Neverending is, and then on the other side we have the URL to the app. Mm-hmm. But you know, what was I saying? Oh yeah. When it comes, I feel like one of the big differences is knowing when and where to use certain things as well.
Yes.
So for me, on the Chaotic Tiefling channel, depending on what we're doing, and if it's whether it's just me streaming, or we're streaming as a group, or we're streaming a TTRPG, for me personally, like, I have my own overlay that I use, and then, you know, it has alerts and stuff like that. But then when we do TTRPG stuff and we're running a game, I tend to default to not having that kind of stuff popping up.
Yep.
Because it's overly distracting when you're in a storytelling format. And, you know, you can also program that stuff to, I say program, like it's a hard thing.
Very intense.
It's adding like stream elements or whatever into your chat as a mod. But like, as you guys can see in our chat with stream elements, you can tell it to post the thank you for following or thank you for subbing in the chat. That way, when you're doing stuff that you want everyone to be kind of more enraptured in,
yes,
like a D&D game or another role-playing game or whatever, the last thing you want in an intense role-play moment is a boop, this person just followed with a little like dancing emoji.
Yeah, I was picturing Jesse like running across the screen, I know, or something, right? Like that.
So, but you know, when it's your personal stream and you want to add some personal branding and stuff to it, go for it.
Oh yeah.
You can add sound alerts to that kind of stuff. You can have it pop up with a GIF. I know our friend Josh Simons, isn't his John Cena?
Yeah, his is John Cena.
Yeah.
CB has gone the extra mile, and all of his are GIFs of him. And then the actual alert sound is him singing like love a little blurb from a song or something like that.
Yeah, I love that.
It's just a cute little way to make it personalized. For me, I use, since our kind of brand on my channel is we're the Haven Wolfpack. So we've got wolves everywhere. So a cute little wolf GIF will pop up. And then some little, it's very simple, but some little, you know, heart music will play. I'm currently reworking all of my overlays and alerts and stuff like that, but this is a good way to start. Hi, Finn. But it's a good place to start, and you can have fun with it, you know? With a lot of these alerts, I think a lot of the concern is that, oh, it's not going to be like professional enough. On an alert, and as an alert, you're celebrating a new follower, a new sub, you're following a resub, a raid, a host, all of that. So kind of, for the most part, professionalism gets thrown out the window, and that's also be something that you're going to see kind of change as you, as a streamer, will kind of figure out who you are.
Yes.
That's why I'm reworking all my stuff, because I'm like, okay, I've been streaming solidly now on my channel for almost a year and a half. My image of where I thought I was a year and a half ago has shifted slightly. It's still within it, but I want to refine it a little bit more.
Yes. So, and the biggest thing is the biggest piece of advice is if you're producing for your own content, find who you are, find what your show is, and really embrace it.
Yes.
In a healthy way.
Yeah.
Let me say that as well. Because that's what's going to bring people back, is they're going to fall in love with you. They're not going to fall in love with the game you're playing, because if you're playing a video game, you're going to be changing that eventually. When you're playing TTRPGs, they come back for the story and because they love the cast and stuff like that. And so, really embrace who you are. And that's what people fall in love with. Don't
try to be like other streamers / producers.
There is plenty of room out there for everyone. That is one of the biggest things that I tell everyone, is no one is in competition with anyone.
No.
If you want to do this, do it. You can stream full-time. You can stream part-time.
Half-time.
But if you want to stream full-time, take the time to learn. Feel free to ask questions.
Yeah. In the right spaces. Yeah, I will preface that. Yes.
Yes. Don't like learn proper stream etiquette. Like, don't be popping into other people's streams and asking questions about their tech setup if they're just streaming a video game or whatever.
And a lot of the time, those streamers will actually have on their Twitch pages or whatever, if you scroll down, it'll actually have either their setup, or it will actually have like, hey, they're partnered with, a specific microphone company or a specific tech company. So More likely than not, they're probably using products from that space.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
But yeah, don't do that. I will preface just because
like spaces like this, where we're sitting here and literally talking about this type of thing. Absolutely, feel free to ask questions.
Yes,
it's what we're here for.
Yes.
As we've said, Chaotic Tiefling does consultations. If you want to learn all of the ins and outs, we do basic streaming 101, where we take you through. We help you set up all your settings. We teach you how to build basic overlays. We, help. We point out, hey, these are the differences in these different softwares, because going into it, it can be so overwhelming and you not know where to start.
100%.
And, but we also have basic studio streaming 101, where if you want to do a in-studio, in-person like show, whether you're doing like a talk show or a in-person TTRPG game, we walk you through that whole process too, and help you with starting equipment, walking you through all of that, because it's a totally different beast.
Yep.
Jordan also helps us with D4, and the D4 beast is completely different than what we do for just on our setups like this. So
completely.
But it's one of those things where I want to say, and when it comes to approaching sponsors and stuff like that, if that's a route you're interested in, there's a right and a wrong way to do it.
Yes. Be
professional, y'all.
Yes.
Be a professional. have all your ducks in a row. And there's nothing wrong with asking as long as you do it in a polite, courteous, professional way.
Yes.
The worst they can say is no. But sometimes that no is not a no that will last forever. So, you know, you might ask at some point and they say, we're not interested right now. And even if they don't give a reason, it's fine. Take the time, grow a little bit, hone your skills a little bit more, and then
who knows, they may be knocking at your door.
Exactly. But that is the biggest thing, is there's nothing wrong with asking as long as you do it in a polite, courteous, respectful, professional fashion.
Yep. And I think, again, I want to, and I thank you for bringing that up, Babs, because I think that's another, when you think of production, you oftentimes just think about the person that's sitting behind the screen or screens and is running OBS Studio and just making sure everybody looks pretty and sounds great. No, it goes far beyond that. You're the one that's usually helping out, making sure promos are done and getting scheduled. You're making sure that guests are good to go. We have headshots. Web captioners are working. We have a backup if something is not working. Like, I always, if I know I'm doing an animated overlay, I will make a static overlay just in case the animated one starts kind of freaking out.
Right.
But having those backup plans, making sure that if you want to get sponsors or start to work for, another thing is affiliations. There's a massive difference between affiliations and sponsorships too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Massive. And that's one of the things that I make sure is noted on like everything that I do of, okay, I am affiliated with this, but I am sponsored with this. Massive
And
difference.
also the next one is also partnered. It's completely different.
100% that.
So, yeah.
But it's,
you know,
it's all encompassing. It's working with the mods. It's working with your cast members that you may be filming and making sure that they have everything that they need. You know, just making sure that they're good.
Yeah.
But one thing I will specify this as well, because having run production, and I know, Babs, you can probably relate to this too, is, and we've talked about it too, it's a continuous thread from the streamer panel that we did here on Be Never Ending too. Try not to look at follower count, because numbers are not everything. Unfortunately, we live in a society and in a world where we are trained that numbers are everything, and it's really not. If you are focusing on just putting out the content you enjoy, your friends are enjoying, your community is enjoying, the rest is going to fall into place as it is. And who knows, you are going to get stuff through your VODs, through your YouTube, TikTok, whatever you use elsewhere. The rest of that's going to come through. I can also say the opposite. If you have a lot, first off, don't go into a person's chat and mention, holy, there's a lot of people here. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But also, like me, if I'm running production, I'm not DMing if it's a Teach RPG. And I do that as a rule for all of our charity streams. Minus me, because I'm usually the producer anyways, and I've been sitting here. But I don't want to look at the number. I don't want to know, because it could be a little bit scary. We actually had, if I can interject a funny story.
Absolutely.
Last summer, we were doing a charity event for Color of Change, and we were on front page the entire time.
Oof.
But our last game, which was hilarious, it was one of our best friends, Bill, was leading it. And I remember halfway through break, he's like, oh man, there's not a lot of people watching, huh? And I told the entire cast, the Discord, the chat, to not say a word. Like, So we didn't tell him until the end. He was like, oh man, not many people were watching, where are they? And I sent him the screenshot. We had 20,000 people watching at one point.
Oh my God.
That is terrifying. So
Yeah.
when we told him that, he's like, thank you for not telling me. I was
Yeah.
like, no, like, we're not going to tell you that
Yeah.
fact. That's
Yeah.
immediately going to make, like, I was freaking out. I was running production and running making sure everything was running fine on my end and playing in the game.
Yep.
And I'm just, like, sitting there like, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. So just things to kind of keep in mind.
Absolutely.
When it comes to that. But production is more than just sitting at the computer running it through OBS.
Yes.
There are a ton of different jobs you can do to be part of the production team, so to speak, and still be able to help out besides sitting behind the computer and running it through OBS or whatever app you're using.
Yep. But on the note of people in chat and watching things, I'm actually going to jump over here to Finn's question.
I was just grabbing it, actually.
Yeah. What if I'm worried about the health and safety of my chat, but I don't know how to recruit mods, especially when I can't afford to pay them? Again, just ask.
Mm-hmm.
And the nicer you are about it, people will be happy to help.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just one mod.
Yep.
One other person other than you helping mod chat.
Yes.
Is
immensely helpful.
Immensely helpful.
And you could, I mean, there's things now in place that you can do, especially as you grow as a streamer, as a producer, that you can do. One of my friends does a tip the mod. So she literally has like a bar that she tries to fill every month. And all of the tips that go specifically to that, she then pays to the mods. You know, I'm starting to get into a place where I can actually start to perhaps pay my mods. We're starting to get into that, which is exciting. So, you know, trying to figure that out to make sure that they, you know, are doing it. But that's a whole other thing, too, of recruiting mods. How do you do it? I think the default is often you just go to your best friends. Your best friends are your best friends. They may not necessarily be a great fit as a mod for you. You know, they can be VIPs or whatever, but that is something you will need to do. We just did interviews for 2 mod spots on my channel just because things are picking up. So how you approach it is how you approach it, but definitely the safety of your chat and especially when you're starting out your community, that is so much more important. I wouldn't stream if I didn't have any mods.
Yeah. Well, and to then build off that, the way you build your community, especially when you're building from the ground up, and the expectations and the standards you set in place from the beginning is so important.
Yep.
And as your community grows, if they learn that you guys don't take crap, you give back what you put out. I know the Chaotic Tiefling community, we have been immensely lucky that we have had minimal, if any, toxicity pop up in our Discord, in our Twitch chats, on YouTube. I don't know what sort of voodoo we did, but from the beginning, we were dedicated to making a safe, healthy space where everyone can come in, they can collaborate, brainstorm, just support each other. And that's all we've gotten. And even putting out random calls for people for our Shakespeare show that we do, how we've gotten nothing but healthy, amazing people. It blows my mind sometimes, because I mean, I know how lucky we are, because not everyone is that lucky. But your community will have your back if they know what you're about, and they will be happy to help enforce your environment.
Yes.
And then from there, you know, you might find a few people that you're just like, you are a total rock star, and you especially help encompass, and you are always on top of it when something happens. You are always there to support. Would you mind if I asked you if you wanted to be an official mod for the channel?
Don't just automatically mod people either. I've had that happen. Some people just don't want that responsibility, because it's a big responsibility. You know, some people just want to hang out. I literally had that happen the other day. Someone made me mod, and I was like, first off, you didn't ask me about this, and second off, like, I'm just not super comfortable. Like, I don't really know your community that well. Yes, I'm a mod on so and so's channel, but like, I have a repar and we chat, and I regularly like am there. So don't auto mod people, please.
Right.
Just don't do it.
Finn said shout out to Strike, which Strike is, I call him the Alfred to the Chaotic Tiefling Batcave, because Strike is a total rock star, and I would not be able to do half of what we do without him. He is always in like 15 places at once. I feel like, and he is on top of it, and he is amazing. And he is just, I cannot sing Strike's praises enough. So
no, he is amazing. I always think of DazBiff too. DazBiff is a professional moderator that you can hire as well. But he was, especially last summer with all of the bot and hate raids that were happening, he was instrumental in making sure that everybody was informed. He actually helped train some new mods that want, like, people in the communities that wanted to help out. But he is always just a fantastic light. And then for me, all my mods are amazing, but it's always, I see Ashenworks hanging out, even if he's lurking. He especially is helpful too, because hey, your mods can also be really knowledgeable about tech stuff. So if something breaks, like I've had that happen, Ashen or Strike have been able to help out, no problem. So
and I mean, even you, like, you are technically a professional mod. You are a professional mod, not technically. You are a professional mod. But I know for us and like D4 and all of that, you were also super instrumental in like making sure we were on top of all of the like spoof accounts and banned accounts, and making sure all of that stuff was taken care of, because
the stream can't run otherwise. Like,
and that was something that I'm like, I don't even know where to start. And then you just swoop in like the amazing being you are, and you're just like, here's my list. I have gone in, I have banned all of these people that are not real or are terrible.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, I don't know what I would do without you.
Same. Reverse Uno. Same. No, I mean, again, modding is a huge part of it, of production. You were the ones that are making sure that, hey, audio's good. Or if someone, because this happens too, where someone's trolling in chat, like, we can't hear you. Maybe refresh, audio's fine. Like, just being that reassurance. Or like, if I need something changed and I'm on stream and I'm literally in a Dead by Daylight game, I know I can be like, hey, Ashen or Goblin or Duval, can you do this real quick? Like, can you put a poll up or whatever? And they're on it. You know, they also help out, like, when we do our charity events, because we're oftentimes recruiting mods for that, because we're running multiple days, and I'm not gonna make anyone stay. No. Everyone
trust
needs
me,
to rest.
I've done the all by myself production, running donations for 4 days for like 3 games each day, which was like 10 to 12 hours. With no break. It was just game to game to game.
That was me, not this past February, but the February before that, because that was the first, like, real event on the stream. So I remember for both the July and November event, my mods were literally fighting me because I was like, no, I got it. And they're like, no, we're gonna run production for you so you can take a break.
Yeah. Like, even if it's just for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Like, it makes such a difference.
They were also the ones that were spell checking stuff since I was doing the promos. They were helping to retweet, or like I gave them access so they could schedule the tweets too, because there's so much that goes into any stream that you're kind of doing. I think the common misconception is, whether it be for TTRPGs, charity streams, or video games, that you just turn on the camera and you turn on your mic and you just go. No. Like, for video games, for Dead by Daylight, I try to make sure that I'm up to date with any of the new codes that are coming out or any big news. Yep. Make sure that all of that is noted. I also make sure my mods are aware of it. If I want an article to be linked, I let them know so they can put it into Nightbot or MooBot or whatever you're using as your kind of modding software. I make sure our roles are updated. If I'm going to be doing an announcement, or we're going to be going into a topic that might need a content warning, then I make sure that they are prefaced about that, as well as we can get those in place for the safety of the community. Like, we have commands for Dead by Daylight for specific killers that are problematic, but still, it's a beautiful game otherwise. There's so much prep for that, as well as if anything has changed. Making sure the game is actually, because Steam likes to do updates. Make sure that your game has been updated.
Make sure all of your stuff has been updated.
Yeah.
Like OBS or stuff like that. Because honestly, back when I was using Streamlabs, which I don't anymore, they would always want to do an update right before I went to stream. And those updates took forever.
Yep.
And so, but even with, you can 100% run production just yourself.
Yep.
Jordan and I do it all the time.
Yep.
But especially when it's bigger streams, bigger environments, you're typically going to be working with a team. And even when my streams are super easy tech wise, like what streams may come, our Shakespeare show, it's a bunch of people getting together on Zoom and reading classical literature. And so I don't have big fancy overlays that I use, just because there's typically 20 to 30 people in the Zoom. But the bigger side of it is making sure that I have a command for the script. I have a command for, our chat rules. I have a command for what play we're doing, making sure all of that is updated.
Making sure it works too.
Making sure it works. I build an intermission digital playbill and making sure that's done. Yep. So there are so many different things, but just because one area ends up being easier than usual doesn't mean there isn't other things that need to be done.
Yes. 100%
so because all of that is important. And there's, on the flip side, there's nothing wrong with, if you realize 10 minutes into the stream you're missing something, like a command, or you're missing an alert on your thing.
Or you're muted. That's happened.
Yes. It's fine to work on it as you go. I mean, if it's a huge snafu, obviously have a be right back screen that you can switch to fix that problem. But if it's little things like that, you can just add it on the go and implement it from then on. And, you know, and as soon as, you know, if it's a command that you forgot to add, as soon as you get it into Nightbot or MooBot, you know, go ahead and put it into the chat as soon as you have it implemented.
Yes.
So that people are aware that it's there, especially if it's something that they subtly asked for. Then it's like, oh yeah, here's the command for it. There's the command. Y'all are good to go.
I do the overrun codename all the time of like, hey, by the way, it's this command and this is what you're going to be looking for.
Yep.
So
make sure your stream info is updated.
Yes.
Because
yes.
Especially if you're running a rerun. Make sure your stream info is updated, because there is nothing worse than starting a rerun under the previous stream's information.
Yep.
And everyone gets the notification. And then it's like, no one's going to get the notification that the stream info is updated. But, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world.
No.
You can go into your settings on Twitch. You can change the VOD title and all of that to say the right thing. But
yes. These are all very simple things that you can do.
Yes.
And I do think eventually we'll have a panel about modding, because that's a whole other...
Yes.
We just touched upon it, but it is part of production, because they're intertwined in terms of relying on your mods, but also they're behind the scenes as well when it comes to production and making sure the community, the streamer or ers are all safe as well and have what they need at their fingertips.
Yep. But I'll go ahead and say it, because we haven't really announced it, but we are actually going to be producing Neverending's very first TTRPG stream in 2 weeks. And we are so excited to bring this kind of content over, so that we can show you all of the cool things that you can use Neverending stuff for.
They have fairy things. Sorry.
They do. They have fairy wings. They have like stuff to where you can make rabbit folk and dragonborn. There's so much stuff. I'm so excited. And but you know, just when you guys watch that, maybe you'll think like, oh, there's a lot going on here, because, you know, we're going to be using a VTT. We're, you know, and don't get us wrong, it's so fun. I love producing.
Yes.
I love it so much. Even when it's a huge, big, chaotic thing. I love it. I love it so much. And, you know, just don't be afraid to ask questions, guys. You know, if there are, again, the proper avenues.
Yes.
For us, for Chaotic Tiefling, our email is in our Twitter bio. We have a website that you can contact us through. Reach out. If you have questions, reach out. Don't just pop into people's Twitter DMs.
No.
And
especially like, when they are streaming too, by the way. Especially when they are streaming.
Don't pop into their Twitch whispers. Especially if you don't have a personal rapport with them. Yep.
If most of the time folks have the email that they want you to use in their, Twitter bio or on their like link trees. So you can always do that. And a lot of the cases too, because again, this is a field that doesn't really have like a cookie cutter kind of style to it. A person may not have rates. You can always, either drop subs to their channel, talk to them first about their preference, or Ko-fi. Ko-fi is super simple way to show your appreciation, because you are also having someone take time out of their day to kind of walk you through it. They're happy to do it, but also like that's time that is taken out of then working on their own production stuff, or having time to themselves and having that moment too, because regardless if you're a streamer or a mod or otherwise, as a producer as well, you need to take time and take care of yourself too. It's important to step away from production. Like I'm coming back from a week off of streaming on my own channel. I've been on other people's channels kind of playing games and just doing voice, but like I've taken a break and I'm coming back and I feel refreshed. I have a new set of eyes looking at different things, and things are coming together. So make sure to take breaks.
And don't wait till the last minute to set up all your stuff.
No. No.
Been there. And it's typically whenever I want to just spontaneously stream myself that I'm like, yeah, I can get everything done and get set up in half an hour, building an overlay from scratch and all of that. Just give yourself some time, get everything set up.
This is also
then post on Twitter and say, hey guys, I'm gonna stream in half an hour. Make sure you're good to go first.
This is also true. I'm gonna pigeonhole this real quick.
Okay.
And say that this is also true, and something to keep in mind if you are a DM for an online game. If you know there's gonna be assets you're gonna be using ahead of time, send them to the producer. Or if you are the producer, have them ready ahead of time so you are not scrambling to get that stuff up.
Yes.
I'll never forget, I had a stream, what was it, I think a year or two ago, where I had to do something and I was running production. And the DM for this game was, hey, I have 120 images. Can you have them ready to go on the overlay? I kid you not. On the overlay. And I kind of just gave a look. None of them were named. They were just numbered. So there wasn't even like this is, a Tarrasque that's going to be popping up on the screen. No, it was. So have that stuff, because again, this goes into production.
Yeah.
Have that stuff named and get it to your production people ahead of time so they can then mark if they're showing something specific. Or, hey, maybe this image isn't necessarily appropriate or it needs a content warning. Then you have all that.
Or the file size is too small, so when we put it up, it's going to be really blurry.
Yep. That too.
But also, producers can do so much.
Yes.
And if you give your producers the proper amount of time to set up, you might be surprised how well the presentation comes across.
Yes.
Because it might be more than just the image just bloop.
Yep. There might be a cool transition where all of a sudden there's a bunch of stars and then poof. Or I know you've seen it, but the really cool overlay transition where all of a sudden everybody's disappearing into a wormhole. Yeah. And then it pops them back out.
That was done live.
Yeah.
That was not done in post.
No.
For like a YouTube VOD.
No. But
and I want to learn how to do that.
I know we got to talk to Dan. But
but the other side, again, politely ask questions.
Yes.
Always be open to learning
and criticism.
Yes. And just because you know of a way to do something doesn't mean that someone else doesn't have a better, easier way to do it. That's gonna blow your mind. Mm-hmm. I know you and I swap stuff like that all the time.
All the time.
That it's just like, okay, I see you doing this, but can I show you a secret?
And
like
10 out of 10 times I'm like, yes. So
yeah. and it makes workflow so much easier typically.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, there's no reason to not work with each other.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, there is space enough for everyone. There's no reason to feel like it's a competition.
Mm-hmm. And what may work for you may not work for everybody, and that's fine.
Exactly.
The same is true for, I think, too, what works on YouTube may not necessarily translate to Twitter or to Twitch, to TikTok.
Do your research.
Do your research, but also be prepared to shift things around. It's not, you're not going to have immediate, like, all of a sudden going viral overnight. This is something that takes, like, years. Most of the people that we are seeing having that large amount of success, depending on how you want to define that, they've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Doing this for years. One of the streamers that I watch, I've watched her now for about 5 years. And in this last year alone, she just got partnered. And she just also became partnered with a company as well.
Yeah.
And she's been streaming that game for 5 years. And her stream count's been high. But now she's having a lot of other things pop up. But it takes a lot of work. It's not going to be instantaneous. And that's okay. And there's also, reminder, we've been in a panini press. So things are going to be shifting around as a new normal is kind of coming in. And
just because you have a certain amount of success at one point does not mean you will always have that.
Correct.
This is something you have to learn to be flexible. You have to learn to roll with it. But the main thing is do it because you enjoy it.
That's the success right
there. And have fun.
Yep.
That's all that matters at the end of the day. Because if you're having fun, people will be drawn to that. And even honestly, again, you might have 2-3 viewers on Twitch, but that same content, especially depending on how you edit it, if you go and you take that and you put it on YouTube, it could have a totally different reaction. So, you know, use the different avenues.
Yep.
Use Twitch, use YouTube, use TikTok, use Twitter. Like, it's all collaborative.
Yep.
Use the avenues you have available. If you don't know how to use a certain format or platform, again, do research, ask questions.
Yep.
There are middle-aged moms just living their best life on TikTok. And I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't get. I watch TikTok a lot.
I love watching TikToks.
I don't know how to work it.
And that is something I want to do more research into and learn to, like, create content for. Not because I want to have viral content on TikTok, but because I have content that I want to make and I want to share with people. And if that's only sharing it with 5 people, that's 5 people that you shared it with and that enjoy your content and will enjoy it.
And I think that should be the measure of success, honestly, because then you're not focusing on the numbers. You're focusing on your pure enjoyment and the safety and the enjoyment of the community. You're going to see that, like, especially when you're just starting out and you're trying to figure out, okay, what is my community? What are we going to be doing? I tested like 3 or 4 games before we finally settled on our base, like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So, like, And even then, I change it up every now and then because I need a break from the games that we play too.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to do that. Focus on just having fun. If you're not having fun, maybe take a step back and reevaluate why you were not having fun. Is it because you are spending too much time doing, overlay prep? Or is it you're spending, not enough time and you're rushing last minute and that's why you're feeling frazzled? What is kind of take a step back and look at who you are and what your community is coming in as a brand new user. Who are you? Like, we can clearly tell who Chaotic Tiefling is or Be Never Ending is because they have such a fantastic community, whether it be on Twitter, their Discord, or here on Twitch.
And even that needs to be presented in your overlays.
Yes.
That's what your overlays need to be, is they need to be a visual, easy to read representation of what you're currently doing. As you can see on the Be Never Ending overlay, you know who Jordan and I are. You have the Never Ending logo, the show name across the top, and a little bit of information about Be Never Ending at the bottom. And it's clean, it's concise, it gets the information across. And, with TTRPGs, there's a lot more going on.
Yes.
Don't overdo it. You don't need to have a super busy overlay background.
No.
And just keep it clean. Get the information you need to get over across. You don't need to have a bunch of static images. If you have like sponsors and stuff, put it as an image slideshow in one spot and have those images rotate. That's a basic feature in almost all streaming software. Or, have a bottom third with just the logos across the bottom. There are so many ways.
And I would say too, because I know at least with Stream Elements too, you can do this with the alert boxes and stuff. Mess with the sound, but you can also, they have things like Kappa where they have all of the emotes popping up. You could put your own, or I would recommend going through them because there may not be some emotes that are included in that you want to use. So you can always do that, and also make sure that it's not like a zillion across your entire screen. Kind of localize it and make it a little simpler just to clean it up.
When you have fun stuff like that pop up, you want your viewers to be like, oh, that's fun.
Yes.
And that's the extent of it.
Yeah. Like,
you don't want it to keep going and then be like, I can't see what's happening because this thing just won't stop.
Yep.
You want it like confetti. You just want it to be like, ooh.
A sprinkling, and then you're good. And that goes too with like your raid videos or whatever you're trying to do. Just things to kind of keep in mind. And again, we've only touched the surface. There is so much that I feel like folks just don't necessarily realize goes into production or is not just production specific.
Yep. We went a little bit over time, but I feel like this was a super important conversation.
Yeah.
So Jordan, where can we find you?
Oh my God.
On the internet.
Hi everybody. So DNDJordanLea pretty much on every social platform because hello branding. But you can find me on my channel. We do a lot of Dead by Daylight as well as a Brunch of Palooza stream where Goblin Katie and I play New World, as well as we do charity streams as well. We're getting ready for our next one in July, and we're doing a bunch of stuff in June for Pride Month. So that'll be a ton of fun. And then you can also find me on Mini Terrain Domain for Scribes and Scrolls, the Candlekeep Mysteries, as well as, I did announce it earlier, we will be doing a D&D campaign on my channel starting next month, which is, I am full in production mode right now, and Babs is being fantastic with helping me. So it's just been very nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, and
it's so fun to collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps you feel not overwhelmed. And you never know what's gonna come up.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it all yourself.
No.
And that's something that we all struggle to remember.
Yep.
So.
But what about you? Oh, and then of course I'm also the creative production assistant for Chaotic Tiefling, so I'm over there like all the time and in D4 chat. So come.
And you're here running the stream most Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you'll be at MomoCon.
Yeah.
So here in Atlanta at the end of May, Memorial Day weekend. So if you're around or you're fairly local to Atlanta within a couple hours for a day drive and you want to come hang out at MomoCon, please do, because there's going to be a whole bunch of us.
Yeah.
Including myself.
Yes.
And I will actually be on 2 panels at MomoCon that are going to be talking more about this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm super excited about it.
I think I'm with you for one of those.
You are with Ravnos and Ellie, and you and me, and we're talking about producing TTRPG stuff.
Yeah.
But I am your
I love you.
friendly neighborhood BabstheBat. And I am the CEO of Chaotic Tiefling Productions. You can find us on Twitch, YouTube, all sorts of stuff. We have our Shakespeare show tonight. I keep calling it a Shakespeare show. We're actually not doing Shakespeare tonight. We're doing our first non-Shakespeare play.
Going rogue.
We are doing Tartuffe by Molière, which is one of my favorites. And that will be at 7:00 Eastern time tonight. And it is a fun time because all of our cast is assigned their roles randomly. So the spreadsheet randomizer is a glorious thing.
It is.
That blesses us every time.
It really does.
Yes. And then I will be over on the D4 channel tomorrow morning for Utharian Legends, which we have used Neverending for our character art for that. And, I'm around. So.
In the shadows.
Yeah. Lurking on rooftops.
Yep. Doing those
I'm
things.
So.
Wait. What was that?
I need a cape.
Yes, you do. You need a cape.
I need a cape.
Well, we can maybe get one later today.
Yes. Oh, I have some upstairs. Again, this was a last minute thing 5 minutes before the stream started. And so this is as prepared as I was. So.
It's amazing.
But I do believe, who are we going to go raid, Jordan?
So we'll be heading over to the Free Forge. They are doing a TTRPG / video game charity weekend, raising money for Color of Change. So they are about midway through their, I think, either first or second game of the day. So we're going to head over there and give some love and support. Please consider dropping a follow there. But also, if you've enjoyed the content here on Be Never Ending, please drop a follow. Feel free to sub. But also go check out their social media, their Twitter, their website, their app as well. They're fantastic to work with, and we are really, really happy that we can work with them.
Ooh, it looks like Jamie just told us that we're going to be implementing some new emotes here on the Neverending channel. So
heck yeah.
But let's go give the Free Forge some love.
Amazing, y'all. All right. So. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.